Hello everyone, today we are going to learn production analysis, in which we are going to discuss about law of variable proportion. Let's start our session. Now let's learn the meaning and definition of production function. Now production function refers to the relationship between the input and output. So it is explained according to George J. Stigler, who says that production function is the relationship between input of productive service per unit of time and output of product per unit of time. So it can be explained as the production function reflects how much output we can expect if we have so much of labor and so much of capital, as well as labor, etc. So in other words, we can say that the production function is an indicator of the physical relationship between the input and output of the firm. Now production function can be expressed with some mathematical terms such as the basic relationship between the input and output. So it may be expressed as Q is equal to F of N L K T. Q is equal to quantity of output, N is equal to land, L is equal to labor, K is equal to capital, and T is equal to technology. So depending on the efficiency of the producer, this production function varies. The function implies that the level of output Q is depending on the quantities of different input. What are the inputs given here? Just like the four factors of production, like land, labor, capital, and technology, so which is available to the firm. There are two factors that determine the production function. One is the short run and the other one is long run. In the short run, it is a period where some inputs are variable while others are fixed. Another feature is that the firm do not enter into the industry and the existing firm may not leave the industry. It is because it is a period of a very short time, maybe 6 months to 1 year. Whereas in the long run, on the other hand, is a period featured by the entry of new firms to the industry and the exit of existing firms from the industry. So it is a longer period, longer duration. So I'll just explain you with the help of a example. So just consider during the period of pizza restaurant lease, the pizza restaurant is operating in the short run because it is limited to using the current building. The owners can't choose a larger or smaller building. Okay, so in the short run, the owners can't choose a larger or smaller building. Whereas in the case of long run, it is a period of time during which all the factors are variable. Once the lease expires for the pizza restaurant, just think if the lease gets over, the shopkeeper can move to a larger or smaller place. So these two factors are determined for the production function. So in general, production function can be classified into two. As we already discussed, short-run production function, it is illustrated by the law of variable proportion, and long-run production function is explained by the law of returns to scale. Law of variable proportion. The law of variable proportion occupies an important place in economic theory. This law is also known as law of proportionality, keeping other factors fixed. The law explains the production function with one factor variable. In the short run, when output of a commodity is sought to be increased, the law of variable proportion comes into the operation. So therefore, when the number of one factor is increased or decreased while other factors are constant, the proportion between the factors are altered. For example, if there are two factors of production, that is land and labor. Land is fixed factor whereas labor is variable factor. So due to the change in the proportion of the factor, there also emerges a change in the total output at different rates. This tendency of theory of production is called as law of variable proportion. Now it is given with the help of a definition. So according to George Stigler, he says that as equal increment of one input are added, the input of other productive service being held constant beyond a certain point, the resulting increment of product will decrease. The marginal product will also diminish. There are certain assumptions when we have to follow this theory. Only one factor is variable while others are held constant. So only one factor is variable. The law assumes that the factor proportion are variable. If factors of production are combined in a fixed operation, the law has no validity. And the second one is all units of variable factors are homogeneous. So we can say that the units of variable factors are homogeneous. Each unit is identical in quantity, quality and the amount with every other units. Okay, and the third point is the product is measured in the physical terms. Yes, the product can be measured in the physical state. Okay, and the fourth one is there is no change in the state of technology. So the state of technology remains constant. It is assumed to be given constant. If there is an improvement in the technology, the production function will move upward. Okay, now the next point is there is no change in the price of the product. So here the price is also fixed in the during this process. It is also held to be constant. It is fixed in the theory, right? Now let's discuss the three products which is required to calculate law of variable proportion. The first one is total product. Total product means it refers to the total amount of commodity produced by the combination of all inputs in a given period of time. So total product is also known as total output. Following varied values of physical variable input along with the fixed amount of input. This process gives us the value of total product. So it is calculated as summation of marginal product. TP is equal to summation of marginal product. TP is the total product, MP is the marginal product. The next one is the average product. Average product, it is the result of total product divided by the total units of the input employed. In other words, it refers to the output per unit of input. So it can be explained as average product, which is equal to the total product. It is divided by the total number of variable inputs. In other words, average product is the output per unit. So it can be symbolically explained as AP is equal to TP divided by N, where AP is average product, TP is total product and N is the total units of input employed. The next one is marginal product. When and all we are learning marginal, we have to add the word additional. So it is the additional or the increment made to the total product when one more unit of the variable input is employed. So in other words, it is the ratio of the change in the total product to the change in the units of input. So it can be briefly explained as marginal product, or the output is derived when the producers employ additional units of input in the variable factor, which further means that is the rate at which the total product rises. Now it can be explained as marginal product is equal to total product, change in total product divided by change in N. So that change, marginal product is MP, change in TP, delta, which is symbolically it means change in the total product, change in the N. N is the unit of input. Now marginal product is equal to TPN minus TPN to the base of n minus 1. MP is marginal product, TPN is total product of employing n unit of factor. TPN minus 1 is total product of employing the previous units of factors, that is n minus 1 unit of factor. Now just look to the schedule which is given below. In this table, the units of variable factor, that is labor, are employed along with the other factors fixed for the production. It illustrates the 3 stages of production. The total product increases steadily at first instant and constant at the maximum point and then diminishes. Now just listen to these terms. The total product increases at the beginning. So it increases from 2, 6, 12, 16, 18, and after a certain point it remains constant. So 18 and 18, and finally it diminishes. So 18 to 16, right? So the total product increases up to a point where the marginal point is 0. When total product tends to diminish, marginal product becomes negative. Now, what is marginal product? The difference of total product. So, 6 minus 2 is 4. 12 minus 6 is 6. 16 minus 12 is 4. 18 minus 16 is 2. 18 minus 18 is 0. And 16 minus 18 is minus 2. Alright. The summation of marginal product is equal to total product. Now how do you calculate average product? Average is the ratio of proportion which is made with the variable factor of labor. So when you average product is equal to TP by N. So 2 by 1 is 2. 6 by 2 is 3. 12 by 3 is 4. 16 by 4 is 4. 18 by 5 is 3.6. 18 by 6 is 3. 16 by 7 is 2.28. Now, accumulating all the 3 products, the stages are being calculated. At the beginning, it increases at an increasing rate, which is called to be the first stage, and remains constant in the second stage, and third stage it becomes negative, reaches to 0 and becomes negative. So all these 3 stages explains the schedule for law of variable proportion. So this 3 stages simplifies the law very easily. Now the above table illustrates the three stages of production. Though total product increases steadily at first instant, constant at the maximum point and then diminishes, it is always positive forever. While total product increases, marginal product also increases up to a point and then starts diminishing. Total product increases up to a point where the marginal product is zero. So when total product tends to diminish, marginal product becomes negative. It reaches to zero and finally it becomes negative. Now the law of variable proportion is explained with the help of the diagram. In this diagram, the number of workers is measured on the x-axis, while TP of labor, average product of labor, and margin product of labor are denoted on y-axis. The diagram explains the three stages of production as given in the above table. Now follow me with the help of this diagram also. In the first stage, marginal productivity of labor increases up to the third labor and it is higher than the average product. So that total product is increasing at an increasing unit. So at the beginning, the total product increases. You can see the maroon line which passes above. It is increasing fast at an increasing rate. The tendency of total product to increase at any increasing rate stops at a point A and it begins to increase and then decreasing rate. This point is called as point of inflections. The second stage. In the second stage, the marginal productivity of labor decreases up to the sixth unit of the labor, where marginal productivity of labor curve intersects the x-axis. At fourth unit of labor, marginal productivity of labor is equal to average productivity of labor. After this, marginal productivity of labor curve is lower than the average productivity of labor. So TPL, that is the total product of labor, increases at decreasing rate. Now the third stage is negative marginal returns, or the third stage of production shows that the sixth unit of labor is marked by negative. Marginal productivity of labor, the average productivity of labor continues to fall but remains positive. After the sixth unit, total product of labor declines with the employment of more units of variable factors. Finally, let's come to the conclusion by learning the three difference relationship among the total product, average product and the marginal product. Now, initially in the first stage, the total product is increased at an increasing rate and then increases at decreasing rate. That means at the beginning it increases and after a certain point, though it is increased, it starts decreasing. Second one is marginal product. At the beginning it increases, then reaches to maximum and starts decreasing. Whereas average product, at the first instant itself it increases, then attains maximum in the first stage and then starts decreasing. Now what happens to the second stage? It continues, total product continues to increase at diminishing rate and then reaches to maximum. So in the second stage, the total product reaches to its maximum. The marginal product diminishes and becomes equal to 0. Right? It touches the x-axis and becomes negative, 0 reaches to 0. And the third one is average product. It is equal to marginal product and then starts diminishing. So in the second stage it starts to diminish, whereas in the third stage total product totally diminishes. Okay, after reaching to the maximum it starts diminishing. Marginal products, it reaches to 0 and then becomes negative. Average product, it continues to diminish but always greater than 0. So it is decreasing but it does not become negative. It does not go beyond the x-axis. It's about the x-axis, so it is always uh, greater than 0, that is positive. Alright, so these three stages explains and simplifies the relationship between total product, average product and the marginal product. Thank you. Kindly subscribe my channel and keep sharing it. Do support me. Thank you.